China is watching closely as U.S. cobbles together a great metaphorical seawall against China. Reports say Beijing is on high alert, quote unquote, as U.S. President Joe Biden hosts leaders from Japan and South Korea at Camp David this week. And this meeting is aimed at deepening technological as well as defense ties. Now, this is a significant moment in the U.S.-China race for global supremacy. U.S. officials are gathering leaders of these influential countries, Japan, South Korea. Biden has in fact invited the Japanese Prime Minister and the South Korean President to the presidential retreat at Camp David. This is located in Maryland's Catoctin Mountains. This is the first annual gathering which will solidify the U.S., Japan, South Korea ties. While the summit will not really lead to a formation of a formal NATO-like security arrangement, it will pave the way for a three-way hotline to communicate in times of crisis. The agenda is strengthening collective defense and missile cooperation. The pressing issue of Taiwan, of course, is also likely to be discussed, considering China's grand ambition to redefine the status of the self-governed Taiwan. This as the Asian nations work to mend their tattered diplomatic ties in the face of greater regional threats posed both by China's rise as well as North Korea. Now for the interesting bit. Let's just take you back a few months ago when South Korea and Japan made headlines by holding their first joint summit in over a decade. A momentous occasion indeed, considering the years of tension, disputes that had strained their relationship, stemming from historical conflicts, including Japan's occupation of Korea. Yet, against the odds, these nations embarked on a path of reconciliation, compromise, seeking to mend the fractures of the past. But you see, it's not just bilateral relations at the heart of this meeting. America has well-established defense arrangements with both Tokyo as well as Seoul. And Washington is now trying to piece together a unified front against China. It is based on the recognition that China's influence continues to grow. The U.S. sees the importance of fostering a tighter collaboration between its Asian allies, and the specter of China's rising power beckons these countries to work together. More than anything, the summit is aimed at recognizing that the security of the three countries is linked. And it is a recognition of the fact that some measure of threat to one is a threat to all, even if this falls short of the NATO's attack on one equals to attack on all policy. And if that wasn't enough, the China versus US race for dominance in the region, let's talk about a study published, China's peer-reviewed journal, suggesting that advanced submarines could be detected by existing technology, a development that would threaten America's dominance of the oceans. Remember, America is believed to operate some of the most difficult to detect and sophisticated submarines. It is considered one area where the US retains unchallenged superiority over Beijing. But this new study by researchers from the Chinese Academy of Sciences Fujian Institute of Research found an ultra-sensitive magnetic detector that could pick up traces of the most advanced submarine from long distances away. And this new tech provides a new solution for detection and tracking of submarines. But why just the Pacific? China's aggressive maritime posturing is troubling countries elsewhere also. Just recently, Joe Biden announced his decision to visit Vietnam soon because the country wants to elevate its ties with America, thus becoming a major partner. When this trip will take place is not clear at the moment, but America has been working to strengthen ties with Hanoi for the past decade. And here too, the US wants to shore up alliance in order to counter China. Biden's announcement coming at a very crucial time, reports suggesting that China is building a runway on its closest island outpost to Vietnam. That's right. Beijing according to reports, is building what appears to be a new airstrip on one of the islands it controls in the hotly contested South China Sea. It's unclear what the airstrip is intended for, but construction of this kind at this location, which is the Triton Island, is significant as it is one of the closest to Vietnam. Satellite images reveal the startling pace at which the airstrip has been constructed here. Images from mid-July showing no such activity. And the pictures on your screen showing a runway strip, a helipad, an observation station. Previously, the island only had the helipad and a small harbour. The new airstrip appears to measure just over 2,000 feet lengthwise, which means it could be used for light aircraft. Of course, as is the case with China, this could drastically change soon. Nevertheless, whatever China's goal is for this island, what cannot be ignored is the location of the island and how any infrastructural development here is of great strategic significance. Triton Island is the closest one in Paracel's archipelago to Vietnam. Paracel Islands are a group of around 30 islands and have been the scene of major Chinese military activity in recent years. We've been telling you about this. The disputed archipelago has served as a platform, in fact, for China's efforts to build up its capabilities and the overarching presence in the South China Sea. And today, this strategic maritime domain is dotted with man-made outposts, in line with China's unfounded claim over almost the entire body of water, something that the international community disputes. Paracels, effectively controlled by China, is also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan. Therefore, the setting up of a new airstrip here, especially so close to Vietnam, at a time when Hanoi wants more ties and deeper ties with Washington, is straight out of the PLA's playbook. With Triton Island being so close to Vietnam, there may be a reaction from Hanoi. Their territorial disputes in South China Sea are serious. Beijing and Hanoi have come to blows almost in the past. Recently, there have been several incidents where Chinese vessels have rammed into Vietnamese fishing boats. In light of these incidents, maybe Hanoi realizes it's time to escape China's orbit, put its fear of a Chinese retaliation aside, and join the American-led alliance, perhaps. We will have to wait and see how these developments unfold. And our next story is about Donald Trump, the former president of the United States. The legal web that he is caught in has become all the more tangled. He has been indicted in a fourth case now. This has triggered a question on whether this is the end of the road for Donald Trump, whether he will be unable to run for office of the U.S. president. We'll now take you through the charges that he faces and understand the implications of each one of them over the next few minutes. Let's just start with the latest indictment. On Monday, Donald Trump was charged in Georgia over his alleged efforts to overturn his 2020 general election defeat in the state. And the probe primarily concerned the recording of a phone call between Trump and Georgia's Secretary of State. In this phone call, Trump allegedly asked him to arrange 11,780 votes so that he could overtake Joe Biden. The grand jury looking after the case says that these actions were aimed at invalidating his defeat, and so they have issued a new round of legal charges. What happens next? The trial may take some time as the prosecutors have to formulate a quote-unquote novel set of questioning. Given the rarity of such cases, this delay can actually end up benefiting Donald Trump to pick up his 2024 election campaign. Reports say he may even request the court to move the case to some other part of the state, citing the potential of biases in the current jury. But the question is, how many cases will he ask the court to relocate? Because besides this indictment, Donald Trump is facing 3 others, remember. The second one also concerns the 2020 federal election. It has been filed in the District of Columbia. The charges include conspiracy to defraud the United States by plotting to overturn election results, the conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, including the congressional certification of Joe Biden's victory, And these charges carry a prison sentence of 5 years and 20 years, respectively. The third case concerns classified documents. It has been filed in Florida. The charges include willful retention of classified documents related to military activities and nuclear weapons. There is one count of conspiracy to obstruct justice by hiding these documents from a jury, and another count of making false statements by lying about their whereabouts. And these charges, by the way, carry a prison sentence which ranges from 5 to 20 years. And the third case concerns hush money payments. It dates back to his 2016 presidential campaign. The charge is that Donald Trump made hush money payments to bury allegations of extramarital sexual encounters. And who did Donald Trump make these payments to, allegedly? Apparently to Stormy Daniels, a famous American porn star. The prosecutors say Trump falsified his business records to hide the fact that he made such payments. All of this leads to two big questions. Will these indictments derail Trump's presidential bid? And do they mean that Trump is going to jail? Well, the technical maximum sentence that Donald Trump could face if convicted of everything that he has been charged with is absurdly high. It could be hundreds of years, but in practice, such high sentences are almost never given. Yet, though, we are a long way off from Donald Trump actually being behind bars. He really is in danger of getting serious time. But even if he is sentenced, any sentence he faces could be scuttled if he wins the presidency. If Trump is back in power, he would likely use executive powers to end the federal prosecutions against him and perhaps even pardon himself. But there is a still big if in all of these scenarios. And our next story is about an alleged Russian spy ring. The UK police have arrested 3 Russian spies. They have been accused of posing as journalists. In fact, reports say they aim to carry surveillance on targets in London and Europe. The 3 alleged spies are Bulgarian citizens and are among 5 people arrested under the Official Secrets Act. Reports say they were working for the Russian security services. The 3 alleged spies in question are 45-year-old Orlin Rosev from Norfolk, 41-year-old Bezer Dazabazom from northwest London, and 31-year-old Katrin Ivanova from northwest London. The alleged spies have been charged with possessing identity documents with quote-unquote improper intention. The focus point is that they did not only have a fake ID for the UK. The 3 miscreants had fake passports and IDs for Bulgaria, France, Italy, Spain, Croatia, Slovenia, Greece, and the Czech Republic. Can you believe that? How did the spies even manage to stay undercover? They did that through posing as journalists, allegedly, from American television companies. Scotland Yard officers, in fact, saying that they found forged press cards and uniforms for the Discovery and National Geographic channels. Reports say the spies used the cover to target London, Germany, and Montenegro. Reports show that Orlin Rosev was the leader of the forgery operation in his guest house in Norfolk. People found equipment to produce false documents. The man also has a history with Russian authorities. Rosev owned a business which was involved in signals intelligence. That simply means providing services in intercepting communications or electronic signals. He was also an advisor to the Bulgarian Ministry of Energy, which was led by a pro-Kremlin Bulgarian Socialist Party member. Dazam, Bazov and Ivanova, on the other hand, were very non-controversial. Reports say the couple moved to the UK a decade ago and lived in a flat in northwest London. Ivanova was reportedly a laboratory assistant for a private health business, and Dazabazov described himself as a hospital driver. Even their neighbors had good things to say about them. The couple had clearly done their homework on how to stay undercover. Now, you see, the UK is no stranger to similar Russian intelligence operations. In the year 2006, a former Russian intelligence officer, Alexander Litvinenko, was killed after being poisoned by assassins working for the Russian state. In 2018, Russian operatives tried to murder a former double agent, Sergei Skripal. They used a deadly chemical nerve agent called Novichok, and later in the same year, a woman was killed by the same nerve agent which had been left in a perfume bottle. Authorities suspected the same Russian operatives. You see, Russia is known to place operatives abroad under a diplomatic cover. The state's main security services, the domestic FSB, the SVR Foreign Intelligence Service, and the GRU military intelligence have often posed operatives as Russian business people, tourists, or even journalists. But the war has made things a lot harder. Many of the spies who are under diplomatic cover have been expelled. The Center for Strategic and International Studies says that nearly 450 diplomats were expelled from Russian embassies in the first 3 months of the war. Moscow has now resorted to riskier and less conventional methods of spying. It is activating sleeper cells and passing espionage work to unofficial agents. And these agents could be third country nationals, also known as illegals. They can be Russians posing as third country nationals who spend several years building up their cover. The illegals traditionally do minimal active espionage work, and that allows them to blend in with the society and carry on with the longer term missions. But in the past years, at least 7 alleged illegals have been unmasked in the West, and they include Norway, Brazil, the Netherlands, Slovenia, Greece. Reports say some illegals have escaped and are back in Russia, but others are still under arrest. So could the UK be on track to break the great Russian spy operation? We will be keeping an eye out for the latest. What would you do if a website did not load right when you clicked on the link? Would you wait? Or would you simply exit the page? Statistics and surveys, various of them, suggesting about 50% of netizens would hit the close button. And this is the latest tactic, it seems, that Elon Musk is using to get back at his critics. Let me explain it to you. X, formerly known as Twitter, is slowing down, allegedly, access to certain websites. It is delaying the opening of various links by 5 seconds. And you know what? People generally abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. Interestingly, the targeted links belong to websites that are on Elon Musk's bad side. Let me just name a few of them. New York Times, Reuters, Meta platforms, of course, like Facebook, Instagram, Threads, along with other social networks, Blue Sky and Substack. These are either publications that have critically reported on Elon Musk or X's direct competitors. And you know what this simple delay would actually end up doing? It would take away traffic and reduce ad revenue for businesses Musk personally dislikes. And this petty trick even has a name. It's called throttling. And quite literally, it throttles a website's traffic. Online companies pour millions of dollars into ensuring that their websites open as quickly as possible. And Musk's move is throwing those dollars down the drain. Businesses know that even tiny delays can cause their traffic to plunge, that users would grow impatient and ultimately go elsewhere. 5G is here. Who has the time or even the patience to wait for a website to load? And Elon Musk sure knows his game. It's not entirely clear how long this throttling has been going on for, apparently. But the Washington Post reports that delays to Times articles began on the 4th of August. This was the same day when Elon Musk went on a tirade against the news organization. He even called it a racial genocide apologist. The rivalry has been going on for a while. Musk has berated the news platform as propaganda-driven. called it names, which I cannot say on air, even called for people to cancel their subscriptions. In April, in fact, he removed the verified badge from the news outlet's official account. Viewers were left puzzled which account was real, which was fake. And now comes the throttling. As I told you, the delays also affected X's rivals. Not only was Substack throttled, but links to the social network site were also marked unsafe. And why did this happen? The move, interestingly, came after Substack announced a new feature. It's called Substack Notes. It offers the newsletter authors and their readers a Twitter-like experience. Maybe Musk has become a little too defensive since the arrival of Threads. But has he ever hesitated from using X's technical tools to pursue personal grudges? He has not. In December, Twitter banned an account known as Elon Jet, which tracked Musk's private jet. It also banned journalists who reported on the episode, suspended Mastodon's official account for referring to the account in a tweet. The platform used technical hurdles to stop Twitterati from accessing Mastodon. Just like Substack, it marked Mastodon as unsafe, also blocked users from adding Mastodon links to their profiles. But what was it really unsafe for? Or who was it really unsafe for? The users or Elon Musk's ego? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.